Welcome to another episode of our mini podcast, I Built a Company That Makes a Difference by B1. Here we talk to founders of sustainable businesses to get their takes on how and why they started their companies and lessons learned along the way. Today, I'm joined by Chenlin Feng, the co-founder of Doviana, a new generation jewelry brand launched in New York City with a strong commitment to sustainability and crafting high quality products. Doviana specializes in affordable, everyday fine jewelry that adds a touch of positivity to your look while redefining your personal jewelry choices. Chenlin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey everyone, my name is Chenlin. A lot of friends call me Chino. I got a nickname when I was in high school from my friends. But yeah, so we are actually, me and my wife and a couple friends that we actually started this company called Doviana. We literally just kind of like one day, literally just have a sit down. This is actually during COVID, believe it or not. Actually, a little bit before COVID, so we didn't know COVID is gonna hit, right? And obviously, nobody's know that. And then we're doing this, thinking about it because a couple of our friends, they're actually a jewelry designer, things like that. We just met each other, and then we're talking about this. Obviously, I don't wear any jewelry, as you can see, but I'm with my wife, and then my wife is like, she loves jewelry. I'm sure every girls in the world they love jewelry, and then we're just talking about it, and then we're just like, you know what, there's a problem that we don't see the jewelry that we really like. I was listening to with them and things like that. And when there's a problem, entrepreneur usually, the people that have entrepreneur minds, they usually think about solve the problem themselves. So and then so there we just started kind of like talk about it, and then and even come up with the names, whatever, just have this conversation. We literally start even drawing jewelry on sketches, things like that. This is like, oh, this is the type of jewelry that we're thinking about to get, blah blah blah. I couldn't buy this, blah blah blah. Overall, our styles of jewelry is kind of like a minimalist, and then very simple stuff. We couldn't, my wife is telling me she couldn't really find anything like that simple, very affordable too. So she was actually, at that time we didn't actually we haven't married yet, so we're actually in a relationship. But at that time we, she was like, actually she was the second runner up of the Chinese beauty pageant, actually, US. Yeah, she
Oh, wow.
competed that. Yeah. So, while she had the experience of that, right, she was had a lot of experience. And when I say experience, meaning like how she, just like when you go through a lot of this kind of like big thing in your life, whether it's a competition, where some you go through some like, then you start getting inspired by something, right? So what she got inspired is she wants to have she want to share this kind of like with other, you know that people that over there, they're like, oh, how do I how do I give the people the feeling that they are kind of like, also on the stage, right? So, with this beautiful jewelry, things like that. So she thought about that, right? And then that's kind of like the build up, right? Every idea, there's always like this build up, what I mean? It's just like, obviously, that's kind of like hidden. You can call the second layer or whatever. And then, like I said, previously, then we met the right people, and then we talk about it, and then she was just really, kicking off. It's like, okay, you know what, I had experience like this, and then I want to do this business, and then I want to share my experience with other people, and I want to bring like this glamorous, shiny, I want to share this with other people, my friends. Usually you want to get this thing to the people that are close to you, right? So whether your friends, your family, and then you thought about, like, how do I scale this to other people, right? So, whether it's scale this to the another like business, or whether it's like kind of sort of like you can do obviously through the event, things like that. So, my so here's me coming, right? I'm the guy who always kind of like think about how to scale up like idea to a business. So we're like, okay, now we have a designers, we have like my wife is kind of like the you know idea behind everybody, the the big brain, right? And then I'm kind of like the brain for the business side. So we just start this, and then obviously we also saw like in the jewelry, right? In the jewelry world, there's not many jewelry brands that mark themselves as like we don't know where the jewelry come from, basically. For example, like
Right.
is this obviously a lot of jewelry brand do marketing their jewelry is conflict free,
Hmm.
gemstone, blah blah blah, this is that, that's all we support that, we are 100% with that. But we're also thinking like, okay, what about like some of these metals, right? So for example, like when we Doviana, we say sustainable, this is kind of our slogan, we say sustainable uh fine jewelry, sustainable fine jewelry for good vibes, right? That's kind of like our slogan.
Hmm.
So we're like thinking like, okay, we're thinking about how to do this in a sustainable way, right? So we talk to before this, right? We're doing the business. Obviously, we did a lot of research. We kind of like select our manufacturer. We met some friends they done jewelry before, or whether they're family, so they're kind of like introducing us to these manufacturers that does sustainable ways. So for example, like a couple of our manufacturer, like right now, few of them actually right now, they all their most of their metal, for example, like sterling silver, especially, they're actually recycled, right? So this is what why we say our business is sustainable, because um right now a lot of our sterling silver jewelry, that most of them come with that, you know you can trace back that everything was like recycled um metals. Also,
Hmm.
some of the gold jewelry that we recently, actually this year, we actually opened our second store. Believe it or not, we actually opened our second store a month ago. So
Oh, congratulations.
yeah, our second store is actually in Soho, New York. So that was like a big deal for us, right? So
And the
we're like,
first
oh,
store, where's the first store located again?
first stores was in West Village,
Right.
New York.
Okay.
Yeah, on Bleecker Street, right? So the second one is kind of like our flagship store. This is like where we really kind of like, okay, we got a bigger space. This is like heart of Soho. We need to capitalize this, really, really capitalize this chance. We really, it took like that location. It was me primarily working on the location. So I was like, like I went through almost a year just to pick up a location. Took a 4 month to, from like the store was like a nothing, like basically it's just like a plain space, nothing there, to
Hmm.
like this beautiful store. We hired a friend of us, like he's architecture interior designer.
Uh-huh.
So this is like huge deal for us, and then it turned out just to be great. It's just like I was really impressed by the work. Everything was done like how I imagined it, how the store is going to be. Obviously there's a lot of room to improve, like we're going to add more things into it, but overall the store, I mean, Soho is like, if you go to shopping, you got to go come to Soho. If you at Soho, you got to come to Spring Street, just because Spring Street has like pretty much everything there. And then I would say Doviana, like our store, if you even don't know Doviana, just for the store itself, it's just a beautiful location. And then people like a lot of people just passing by there, like taking photos of that.
Oh, that's
There's just like,
fantastic.
yeah, there's just like, oh, this store is so cool. I love it. We have this like arch thing going on. It feels like you're in like almost like a, like a, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a, you can see some of the styles from like a cathedral, but at the same time, and then like a big museum. We take a lot of the architecture designer. He actually take a lot of inspired from the famous building in the world. He literally just, he's like into this, right? I don't know nothing about this, but he was like super into this, and then he was like, he was drawing, come up with these ideas, like, yeah, we should do this because it's like, people loves this. I was like, okay. And at first I was like a little, like I was a little worried because it does seem a little complicated. So the work does take a little bit longer than time I was I want to, but it was worth it. I'll come to, the space. But anyway, so that's kind of like the thing that we're doing, right? So we want to do this, and then when we do it, we want to make sure we do it right. Just everything, whether the space or our product, really our product is like, recently we just pushed out like a piercing section. Like
Yeah,
we
I saw that on the
yeah,
website. So it's like now get pierced. So you can do that at your locations.
correct. You can book appointment actually. The piercing session each was like 20 to 30 minutes, no, about that. But people, because like we did this, it's not because like we want to compete with other brand things like that. It's honestly a lot of our customers, right? So we actually, because we're like a young brand, we listen to our customer a lot. Basically,
Hmm.
people like, because especially our first store, right? There was at West Village, right? West Village is like a very neighborhood type of feeling vibes of like community, right? So a lot of store there, the people they've been delivering for decades, right, or years. Especially recently, young people move there. So people there, they shop a lot, and then they locally, just shopping. And then we have a lot of loyal customer telling us like, hey, you guys should do piercing, you know, because they want to get it done. Then we couldn't offer at that time, obviously, because the space is smaller, and then we don't know anything about piercing at that time. So, and then obviously when we got the Soho location, right, we're like, yeah, we have to do piercing here because we have the space. We're like we need to do this. So we obviously have the option now, which is a lot of like our previous customer, they came back, get their ear pierced, so it's like it's super exciting. Like we actually plan to also do like a permanent jewelry bar also, like it's like those welding jewelry, it's like on your wrist, they call permanent jewelry, but they're not really permanent jewelry. Because it's like there's no claps, right? You can take it off. It's just there. Actually, it's welded.
Oh,
But
wow. I've never heard of
you heard
this.
never heard that? Yeah, you should
No.
look it up, right? This is like a pretty popular thing during, I think, like two. We're kind of late on this game, but again, this is also our customer requested for us to do.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's not permanent because it's called permanent jewelry, but you're supposed not be permanent because just for safety reasons. What if
Right.
your hands do some medical,
Yeah.
let's just say procedure, they need to remove the chain.
Yeah.
You can remove it, you can just literally cut yourself, it's super easy. But anyway, that's we plan to do that one as well. So we just recently, like I said, recently just started a piercing operation, and then that's what we try to pushing. And then we got a lot of like great feedbacks because we are our kind of like the piercing jewelry is very curated. Like people really love it. It's affordable. Like we're using very safe material,
Uh-huh.
safe materials like 14K solid gold and implant grade titanium, right? So that's kind of like what we use. Like we don't really use like surgical grade stainless steel, just because a lot of customers, and then also I talked to many professional piercers. They're telling me that they had a problem with the kind of material, so they tell me not get it.
Ah, like skin allergies.
Yeah, allergies, because
Mhm.
after you get pierced, it delays the time to heal. So we use like titanium, which is one of the safest. It's not 100%, like, because some people still react that,
Mhm.
but that's like the most safe,
Mhm.
besides
Mhm.
gold, things like that. And then even some people, they're allergic to gold, they're okay with like titanium, believe it or
Mhm.
not. So anyway, so that's kind of like what we're doing right now. Yeah, I mean, for our company right now, we have two brick-and-mortar stores where we we're doing. So before all this business starts, right, I'm sure you're probably wondering where this everything kicks off, right? So it's kind of
Yeah,
like,
what one where everything kicks off, which years, and then what were your backgrounds before this? I mean, it sounds like you've got a fantastic network of people that you know that you've been able to partner with who have expertise in
yeah,
jewelry making, in architecture, in interior design, in a lot of these things that you've been able to utilize. But for you and your wife, you guys are the catalyst of this brand, Doviana. And what are your backgrounds?
yeah. So my background is actually, again, has nothing to do with jewelry, right? I'm actually graduated with a logistics and supply chain management degree. So that's kind of like my focus. Like I know about business, how to run it, especially on the logistics side,
So
things
you
like
do
that.
operation, like you're the operations arm
Exactly.
of this business. Got it.
Yeah, yeah. Like I fire people, things like that, and then more to like the I'm doing like all the lead work, right? So, but like open a store, have to be there, oversees the employee. But yeah, my background actually doing I graduated with a degree after a year and a half working in the logistics company, which is a great company. I love it. I got a job even before I graduated. I was super excited, and then after a year and a half, I was just like, this is cool, but then because honestly, in my mind, right, and then this is when I was even younger than when I was in before I even went to college, right, and then I always wanted to start a business. That's kind of my thing, right? I don't know what is it, but it's just like before I was thinking like doing like an international business, like because I was maybe I even tell you should I tell you this before because I'm actually born in China. I came to the States when I was 13, so being both of the culture, right, it's there are a lot of difference between the culture, but there are also tons of similarity between them. And then especially in today's world, like globalization, make the world really small, and then everything's kind of sees it's there and it's shareable, so I came here, I was 13, went to basically middle school, high school, college here, and then kind of like, and now I live actually, if you look at my years in my life, right, I actually stay in the States more than I was in China. So I can call this is definitely my home, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was another thing, I just thought about the other day. I was like, wait a minute, I was actually here was longer than I was in China. So I was like crazy. I just thought about that. Yeah. But no, like I graduated with that with a degree and working in a year and a half in a logistics company. And then somehow I got into car sales right after that. So actually, I never imagined I was being a salesperson until that. And then like I got into it. It was, I don't know, everybody, if car sales is actually a very aggressive selling, super aggressive, right? And then it's like if you don't sell, you don't really eat type of situation, right? So in the beginning, it was very hard for me because I don't know anything to relate to car sales. Nobody trained me. I just kind of learned it. My friend was to actually help me to train me a little bit, tell me some stuff, it's like, hey, you should do this, you should do this. Then he actually left after a month. Not gonna tell what reason, but he left and then kind of just left me there by myself, which is like, yeah, with like all these salesperson that been there probably more than 4 or 5, some of them even they're like 30 years, like like all their life, right? Like I would just like, holy crap, I'm here, like what I
Just
do.
in the
So
deep end, not
yeah, it's
knowing what
almost
to
like you
do.
you throw me into the wolves, right? Kind of like that type of situation. But that's how you get to learn, right? And then I learned pretty quick, and then got a grasp of it. I was actually selling 20 some cars a month, and I think a couple few months I went to like selling almost like 30 cars, things like that. And then
Wow, a month.
yeah, yeah. So it's like a day a car. I think there's one day I sell 4 cars. I don't know how I did it, but it was like, I don't know. But no, like I have my personal selling style, which is, most people they think it's car salesperson is very, janky, they're lied to them, blah blah blah. This is how I felt, all this negative experience, right? But me, I just tell them. Probably most of my managers don't like the way I sell just because I tell them the truth. But I think that's how I thrive it too.
Hmm.
If I feel that another brand, if you're looking for a certain feature, I just tell them like, hey, if you really really like this feature, you should maybe looking for the other brand because I
Hmm.
feel like they're done it better, and then I think that you're gonna capitalize better on your dollar amount, value. You know what I mean? I just tell
Hmm.
them like, so actually 90% of this customer, when I tell them that, they're gonna buy a car from me just because I giving them trustful. They like me.
Hmm.
Um, I don't really sugarcoat anything. I just tell them how it is, and then literally the process is simple, right? If you A lot of people like when they buy cars, they kind of know what they want already, and then as long as this experience is good, they like you, they will
Hmm.
buy the car. Seriously, it's just that simple. You don't really need to do the extra stuff to like hard sell them because usually they actually done the opposite. If you push them too much, I don't usually give them a lot of room, let them think in themselves. I just tell them everything about the feature, the facts, right? I'm number guy. I just tell them like, hey, this does this, blah blah blah. This does not do this, blah blah blah. Kind of like that. And then they're like, oh, okay, I understand now. And then I take them after I give them the whole rundown. We go to a test drive. Usually on the way test drive, they already decided. Honestly, if you're the customer yourself, right? If you drive the car on the test drive, you pretty much know how this car fits your need or not, to be honest with you. And then you can pretty much make a decision on the way back to the store, like literally. And then yeah, most of them that I like that. But anyway, and after that, I moved to New York. After 2 years that the car is selling, I moved to actually first was Jersey City with my wife because that's where
Hmm.
she at. We actually met in through one of our friend in Georgia. We actually both from Georgia, but
Oh,
yeah. I'm originally from Atlanta, right? I was actually moved to Georgia when I was like 13. Uh, anyway, so she actually graduated from Georgia Tech, yeah, with a master's degree. Actually, her study or her field has nothing to do with fashion whatsoever. Too, she's actually a civil engineering master's degree, right? Yeah, believe it or not.
oh yeah, that's a
Yeah,
little bit different than jewelry
yeah,
designing.
yeah. And then just jewelry and the fashion, but she likes it. She loves it. She loves this stuff. And then you know, that's like sometimes your hobbies, right, became more than your professional. Like a
Yeah,
lot,
absolutely.
and a lot of the professional and then also the entrepreneur I tell when I talk to them, they had the same experience. They always study something in the college, blah blah blah, and then somehow whatever they do right now or the business do right now has nothing to do with that whatsoever. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but
life's journey, especially the entrepreneurship journey, really takes you on a winding path, especially as you said, a lot of the entrepreneurs that we talk to, as you said, something that's a hobby, either by necessity or interest, becomes a main activity.
yeah,
And then a little bit of foothold, a little bit of scale, and then suddenly something happens where it catapults you into, oh no, this is going to be my main activity, either by
yeah.
necessity or something takes off, a product that you launch that you didn't expect it to, take up this much of your field of vision. Is that
Hmm.
how you guys started? It was just like, this is going to be a hobby, or did you jump into it saying, we're going to make a business out of this?
Yeah, so in the beginning was just like, because me and my wife have this entrepreneurial mind. We're always want to kind of like do business, right? A lot of time, and it's crazy. Like actually, we have many other friends too, like also family members, right? Maybe this is like I don't know, is this like a Asian thinking, or maybe actually I don't feel it's like Asian thinking. I feel a lot of my American friends feel too, thinking like selling something, right, of a product. It's kind of, I'm not gonna say it's lower, but it's like they think this is like a me, for example, like I'm gonna put this way: me go to a company like a SP 500 company working from 9 to 5 is good, but me to do selling something I like even though I would do whatever it takes that sell that, even I have to go to the street to push this product, it's bad. So it's kind of like that mentality, right? People, but me and my wife don't have that. We're like, if this is something we like, we need to do it. You know what I mean? And then we just need to go talk to the right people, things like that. So that's the thing. Like we have this passion of like be an entrepreneur, and then the jewelry right here is kind of like you can say this like almost like the the nuclear chain reaction, that's that first nuclear, right? So everything goes out from that point. And also I mentioned a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start something, they always see a problem, uh, because they don't see that thing on the market and they want to solve themselves. So that's kind of like what we're doing. So and then we just want to do this, and then yeah, everything just kind of starts there. We did this thing during COVID, in the previous I was saying in the beginning. I'm sure, yeah, I think you're asking me like how we really started at the beginning. So this is actually during 2020, right? Beginning 2020, like when a COVID first was actually starting in China, right? And you hear from the news. So we started like literally January on this business. Like we actually, before that we actually preparing, but literally like say, okay, this is when we started, it was like 2020 January. And then we hear COVID, obviously at that point we didn't know that's gonna spread it, like we did doing now. Like, I thought it was just like a local thing. And then March, fast forward March, oh, it's here, wow, what should we do? And then I'm sure a lot of businesses like kind of like us were a little, at that beginning, we wasn't panicking because we thought it was not a big deal. It was like, oh, this thing must be like, it's just, first it's kind of like a flu. Maybe we don't really know. Nobody knows any facts of it. And then, oh, this thing is probably gonna last that long, right? And then blah blah blah. Then who knows, right? And then it's just like kind of like just exploded, right? And the amount of panic bring to people, things like that, I'm sure all business owners just thought about that. So the lucky thing we did, it was we, because we at now ages, everything we have to do is we have to do it from online. So that's kind of we started. So I know I'm so glad that we did that. I'm so glad that we didn't just rent a place and start doing that, because I don't think that's the right way to do it anyway.
Especially
So
January 2020. That would have been a bit of a disaster if you had opened the
yeah,
store then.
it was literally, if you rent something there, that would be end up horrible. That just for everyone. And then so we kind of just start online. We built a website. Literally, my wife, she built that website herself, literally, and then I was helping her too a little bit. But we're taking, just we have to learn from everything from our own. Literally, we have no professional helps, like at the beginning, how to
Mhm.
take a photo of the product, how to Photoshop, how to do this, do that. And luckily, every time we're doing this, there's some of friends actually also into that little bit, and they're willing to learn too. We have a photographer, but we didn't want to take advantage of that, because at the beginning, with the photographer, our photographer friends just helping us, but so we don't want to obviously take advantage of this. So we have to learn how to Photoshop each photo, things like that. So we just kind of like, went through this, learn everything, how to perfect a photo, how to build this website, what kind of product we should be picking. This is all comes to our, whether it's our taste, whether it's our fashions, fashion taste, jewelry taste, whatever. So, the designer and my wife, also me, but not too much. Like I don't really talk about the styles, things like that, but they're working on this like every single day, just test, and then that's the thing. This is to all the entrepreneur. If you have an idea, please test out. Don't start a business like immediately. And it's just a bad idea. Like you should always test your idea, starting your people around you, and then go to somewhere that has like high foot traffic area, and then start, whether you do a survey or product, whatever. You have to have the encourage to do this, jump out your comfortable zone, right? Comfort zone. You need to go there, talk to strangers to say, hey, how this product works. If I, give this to you, you wear this, and then we're doing this a lot, right? So start our friends, and then they they actually give, we listen to them. Basically, that's the thing. We always listen to our customers, so we get that feedback. So that's how we improve. So yeah, I mean, I would say that's kind of like how we did it in the beginning. Yeah.
You guys, it seems like because you guys have a really active online presence, and it sounds like customers coming through your stores, your brick and mortar stores as well, you guys really tap into customer discovery. So talking to them and having mechanisms, whether it's online, in store, et cetera, for feedback from customers that help you shape the product.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So because that's how you perfect product, right? You need to listen your customer, and then when I'm always at the store most of the time, so I always ask a customer, what do you like? What are you looking for? And then, and then even some of the styles that, so because our jewelry is like kind of minimalist style, that's kind of what we focus on, because we test other styles before, believe it or not, and then it sells, but at the same time, people are not buying like it's like, so in our minds, like, what can we do for something like an everyday jewelry, right? So this everyday jewelry thing became like sort of like a like kind of like the focal point in this jewelry stuff, because there's so many style jewelries, right? You can do this, you can do like a like statement jewelry, like this is something you wear in the occasion, you go to an event, something contemporary looking, like this type of thing. It looks cool. Wow, it's like so cool. Like I mean, we our jewelry designer, I don't know, you saw them, they have this cool jewelry looking when they're graduating their thesis, they because all these designer students, they in the end of the graduation, they have to come up with some like this big like like if you're the jewelry design, you have to come up with this like a whole line of jewelry, like represent your style, things like that, you actually turn into product. So I look at some of them, they're like, they look cool, don't get me wrong, they look so cool. They're you don't see them, this is like a one of the kind thing, right? If you wear this thing. But me as a business person, I was like, wait a minute, I should have stepped back. How many people is going to buy this? That's the real
Mm.
question you're going to ask. It's like, how many people is going to wear this? And then because this piece is so complicated, it takes a lot of resources to make, right? The labors goes in, the times goes in. How can we scale this even? So you got to start asking questions like that. you know so any business, right, it's if it's a scalable, you got to asking how fast, how quick this thing can make in an efficient way. That's the thing that you really need to ask yourself as the business person to make sense of this business. Now, obviously, we have designed our jewelry, but we need to simplify them. So how can we have this jewelry that's simple enough, have a unique design, and then people can wear this actually every day? They don't have to take it off. Like a lot of like our customer, they're like, for example, I'll give you an aspect, right? There are two things like I heard the most. It's like, can I wear this in shower? Can I wear this when I go to sleep? So that's kind of like a two thing where like, okay, so like like we this is the kind of thing, right? We listen to problems and then we try to solve them, right? So because the good things, then we at the beginning we're doing the other jewelries there, that's the jewelry that you cannot wear in the shower because they're really complicated. Your hair gonna caught in the thing, right? There's so many chain hanging down. Okay, you definitely cannot wear in the sleep just because it will get hurt yourself. You probably would hurt yourself if you wear that. So when you have this problem presented, right, then you're thinking like, okay, we need to make this thing small and then very dainty and then very useful. And the material wise, we don't do some of this material. For example, brass is kind of like beginning where we're kind of considering, because they're very affordable material. But brass, the problem with the brass is a lot of people have allergic reaction with it because a lot of them have a nickel in there, things like that. They, some people like, oh, it turned my ear green, so that's brass. So we're like, okay, we cannot do brass. What about, then we start with the sterling silver, right? That's like they're like, okay, silver 90, it's like good material. They have less people reaction with it. And then we can, people like gold, we can plate it with them, like with this like thick plating of gold, like a special technique. And then we're just doing that. And then we'll test like, oh, then this works, right? And that's how we started, right? And then we're doing this like small jewelry with a sterling silver at the beginning with an 18 karat gold on top of it, like people love it, right? And then our friends give our positive reaction. That's kind of how we started, with this sterling silver. People love sterling silver. They either buy the actual sterling silver color, like the natural silver color, or the gold with the 18 karat gold on top of it. So that's kind of like a two thing. When we started this business, we kind of like we kicked off on that. Yeah. And then honestly, like because we met some amazing people and also connections, sort of like that, we know manufacturers. Like one of our first manufacturer, they've been in the business actually over like 4 decades, right? So they know what they're doing. So we're lucky
How did you
to.
meet them? Was it just a connection of a connection? Or what were you looking
Yeah,
for in manufacturing?
it was a one of a friend that she actually is the designer herself too. She actually started making jewelries, but this is complete different styles. She actually making handbags, things like that. So she needed all these parts to make, right? And then she met this her friends that know the people from the manufacturer, and this is like overseas. And then we met with them, and then we're talking about our idea, and they were interested to work with us because they have met with many this young entrepreneur that want to start something, and then a couple of them actually want to pretty successful. So they've seen that successful story, and then they want to work with these new people, right? Like us, like young brands. So they actually a lot of time if you work with this like company like manufacturers, they don't really give you many chances. Either they're gonna tell you to order tons of stuff at the beginning because they need to also make money too. They don't really willing to have a small like MOQ
Right,
at the
small
beginning.
order. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then but they're willing to do that with us. So that's how we started. Yeah, and then we kind of like, oh, test. That's how we able to test so many things. And then in the beginning, they were patient too to work with us. And then at that point, when we became a little bit known out there, like people like actually buying our stuff, and then we they actually see feedback too, because each time we order more and more and more, they're saying that it's become successful in a sense of like, okay, we not just order 10 pair earring now, we actually order 100 pair now, you know what I mean? So that's like huge, right? So that's like 10 folds already within like one year, something like that, literally over 1 year. And then they they're I told them like it's like, hey, I really appreciate you guys giving us this opportunity, it's like you work with us. Yeah, so like that's the thing, like when we doing this journey of this brand, right? And a lot of this entrepreneur experience, it's the people you meet. And then just this whole experience from start with nothing, literally nothing, to something like, obviously we always be appreciated, we always be humble. Even right now, 2 stores probably like a lot of this jewelry brand, they have like over 100 store probably now, but us is like have 2 stores right now. And then but that's like, even with that we're super cherish this opportunity, literally everything. Like we just want to make this thing better and better. I'm already looking at the next location where we're doing like a few pop-ups by the internet air. There's so many things, we're lining up all these locations. Hopefully when the right time, we're just gonna open all of them. Seriously, that's kind of like. And then also all this talent, right? There's people that I'm this fresh new talent. And it moves me when I see these young entrepreneurs like myself to like, they want to start their thing just like myself. And in the beginning, and then I always, if I can't, always help them. Yeah. So
That's amazing. So I
yeah,
have a couple questions.
please.
One, I just wanted to tell our audience, if you haven't been to Doviana to see the jewelry,
Mm-hmm.
when I came across this site, I was like, oh my God, this whole site is exactly my style. So
Sure.
I was like, oh my gosh. So right after this is done, I've actually put some things in my basket, some jade earrings in my
Yeah,
basket. So I have to, right after we're done with this conversation, I have to go finish checking out. But this
please.
is like really gorgeous, very minimalist. As you said, Chinling, everyday um jewelry, like
Yeah.
rings, necklace, like it's things that you can wear every day. And I was thinking exactly those two things. When I was thinking, can I wear this in the gym? Like, can I sweat in this? Can I wear this in the shower? And can I sleep in this? And I see that you even have like flat back earrings that you can sleep in. Like very, very practical as well. So that's one thing. If you haven't visited, just to give the audience a description of the kind of jewelry. And the
Yeah.
second one, my question is, when you started to get um scale, how did you have to change, grow, and evolve your operations team? Like, what did it have to start looking like, and how quickly did you have to make a jump? What does it look like today versus, let's say, I don't know, right after you launched? I mean, I'm sure it was just you and friends for a really long time. When did it start to really ramp up?
Yeah. So it's probably started like a year and a half after the whole thing, like I say, start beginning to scale, when the lockdown became a little bit easier, like we start doing pop-ups, right? Throughout the city. Literally, we start like small things until like bigger things. We rent like a bigger space. Again, try your product in the location that you potentially think you're gonna be there. Don't just go there, sign the lease. But so we kind of like sign on like a pop-ups lease sort of thing, very short period, but this is like during like a holidays thing like that. So that's where you test your product, and then then you get a feedback. Wow, this works. Okay, we need to, like you say, we need to scale up, right? So luckily, like I say, our supply chain, and then it's very efficient, and then the back end of the manufacturer, right? Like I said, those people, we're literally from one manufacturer to four manufacturer right now that we contact, right? So this is the people I met with, and through different connection, blah blah blah, they know us now. So a lot of this manufacturer reach out to us, right? Believe it or not, like I have like almost like meeting to meeting, back to back, a lot of time with like
Oh,
all
they're
this
reaching out to
manufacturer.
you to try to get your
Yeah,
business. Ah,
yeah, some of them, yeah, but most of them, I was the one who actually initially connecting at the early stage of this business, and then because at that point we're just like, that's like the thing though, like I feel like one of the thing, I'm sure every business is like, how do you get your product right? What's the best way to make the product in the trust source, right? That's the most important. So done a lot of research, and then like I say in the beginning, that one first start particular, the manufacturer give us the opportunity to start something small, but they have the ability to scale, like literally, if you want to make like a 10,000 of this thing, they can do it. You know what I mean? They have the
so they can
ability to
scale
do it.
with you. You chose
Yeah,
them because they'll do
exactly.
small runs, but they can scale with you as your business grows,
Exactly.
and you don't have to
Yeah.
change
but
manufacturers.
but honestly, the like this is not the most important thing, to be honest with you. I think the most important thing is, um it's the people actually. And I found out that people, because I start hiring people, right? That's like really hard. I'm sure a lot of entrepreneur has the same issue with this, or I wouldn't say issue, have this experience, right? So you know uh, like now I kind of understand when you run your own business. Before, I was like, I was actually during college, right? I was like listening to my professor telling me, all these people telling me, like like, and I was in the business class, they're saying that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here, but don't call me. And then it was like, like a 30%, or this big percentage of the company overhead or the cost is actually from the HR. I was like, HR, like what's the, like what's that complicated, so complicated about, right? It's like you just hire people and then blah blah blah. It's just like, but then I finally realized that if you don't find the right people that within your company, right, they can cost you so much, like just the amount of time. First, you take time to train them, and then if not works, just imagine all the time that's resources you kind of been with them, and end up didn't work, right? Just imagine that, especially for a small brand like us. that amount of time, things like that. It's not like, oh, I have like 10 people here sitting with me, they just hire and then interview them and training them. Like beginning, it was all me, like me doing all this, right? Like literally I have to train everybody about our business, things like that. So that was a big thing. And then to like literally, so yeah, like that was one thing, like to have the right people is so important. Yeah.
So that's one thing I talk about often, or have the conversation often with entrepreneurs who are first-time entrepreneurs, but they're
Yeah.
coming from large companies. And it's exactly that. When you come from a large company,
Yeah.
any problem internally that you might think of, there's a team dedicated to solving that problem, like
Yeah.
hiring
Yeah.
or pensions
Right.
or like parking,
Right.
whatever. There's a team dedicated to it. And when you are an entrepreneur for the first time or you join a startup, and you are suddenly your own IT, your own hiring manager, your own sourcing
Yeah.
manager,
Yeah.
everything. And this
Yeah.
is before you even get to the business of like a vision or putting together a business case or marketing. This is just getting things running. It's a really tough switch, and not everybody is built for it. And
Very.
not everybody enjoys it. But when you're like,
Yes.
wait, hold on a second, now I'm doing the candidate sourcing, hiring, all of these rounds of interviews, then training, then I'm HR. Now I'm, doing benefits and all of this stuff. It's and this again is before you even get to the business of like getting to your product or something.
Yes.
It's a sometimes it's a big switch. It's a big switch. It's
Yeah.
hard
No.
to
No.
explain to people until you
Yeah.
do it.
Yes, exactly. So it's like, I've been working like all my previous job, they're all from SP 500, right? One of the company, like I say, my starting with a logistics company, they're like a top 100, top 150, like all these companies, right? They're like a huge company. I went to their all corporate building, things like that. It's very corporate environment, things like that. So everything works. So you don't really at that see, because the company is so big, right? There's like you yes, you're doing your job, but you don't feel like you kind of ask yourself, like, if I'm not there, is this matter even? Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, you know what I mean? And then it is, if this 5 people not here, is this even matters? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm sure some of them do matter, but I'm just saying, like, because they're so big, right? You couldn't even you yourself just being in there, the bubble, you wouldn't feel that effect until you're kind of like outside of and start build this bubble. You're like, okay, this is hard, you know. Um, and then it's very challenging, but it's like that's how you learn though. Like that's how I'm sure every entrepreneur learned that. It's just like, this is like no other way around it. You have to do yourself. And then firing people, it's always kind of like at my weak point. But because I would say, like, just because I think I'm a nice person, I don't really fire them, because it's very sad too, because like you take this time to hire them to do all this. It's almost like you have this emotional attached to them, and then you have to let them go, things like that. You tell them, and then obviously I tell you this, right, most of the time, like, in that point of it, it's just like things definitely not gonna work out anymore. It's not like a me budging this and I'm pushing my side, you know what I mean, let you be here. It's at that point, it's like, okay, this is not gonna work out anymore, you know what I mean? And then
I don't know anybody who is like, I've not talked to anybody, corporate entrepreneur. I've talked to nobody who's like, I'm fantastic at firing people. Like, I've just never heard that, especially entrepreneurs, because
yeah,
it's such
no,
a personal thing. Like, you've hired
yes,
somebody to come into your business, you've given everything that you could give, and it still doesn't work out. And you're like, oh, this is
yes,
this is the worst. We have to part
yes,
ways. For the sake of
yes,
this business, continue, we have to part
yes.
ways.
Yes, but that being said, right? Like I tell all my employees, right, the first day, literally when I hire them, I tell them, like, look, because I literally tell them, like, because all this experience I walk through, I have a huge strong belief of everybody should have their own business, do something they love, right? I tell them, like, you guys should one day own your business, do your thing your own. If you learn something from me, please learn. But at the same time, I know that's hard. And then not not everyone, like, even they have the opportunity and the capital that they can do that, but their self partner, because their personality or whatever, there's study of field. If you're an engineer, you just engineer, right? You just doing your thing. You should an engineer. You should just research, and you let a business self that side of aspect, let somebody else take care of that, right? And then you just do your thing. But I tell I personally tell all my employees, like, look, and then whether if you chasing the fashion, I wish you can own the next Louis Vuitton, right? Something like that. Or if you're a designer, I wish you can be the next whatever that in your field. So I tell them like that, like whatever you learn, please learn from me, and then I'm willing to teach. That's the thing. Like I wish in the beginning it was people like teaching me to walk me through everything. So I kind of want to, like, if somebody interested, I always give the opportunity to learn, and then from me, you know what I mean. So I kind of like, hey, this is this. You should do this. This I've done this before, trust me. But obviously everybody experience is different. But I tell them, like, this is what happened. Should you choose to listen or not, it's you. But I give you the whole breakdown for it, and then you should make your own judgmental call. But the thing is, like, nobody even does that to me at the beginning. I have to literally learn from nobody telling me this. Just like how I learned from the car sales job. Nobody told me that. I just went in, and then I was like, it was hard. Like, that was super hard, right? That was like, like you literally know nothing to just learn, observing, and learn. I mean, that's how you
It sounds like
learning. Yeah.
you particularly as an individual are built to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean that, I don't want to say this, like, it's not like an entrepreneurship. It's like I think it's trainable, but yes, there's a lot of it. It's like you are not type of a deal, right? So um I would say one of the biggest thing about an entrepreneur is adaptation, right? You need to adapt quick. That's the thing. Like, you need to adapt. Like, you cannot be, like I say, you in the comfort zone like all the time. You gotta be adapting. Just how I adopt. I don't. I'm not a salesperson at all before. Like, I don't know how to sell, and then
You
I
figured it out.
adopted. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had to adapt.
Yeah.
If I don't adapt, I don't have a job, and then
Right.
there's no rent to be paid.
Yeah.
So situation like that, uncomfortable situation, will push you to the next, a higher you, right? Like a higher form of you. So, that's the thing. Like I that's the whole thing about entrepreneurship. It's like you from nothing to something, that in that process you are being pushed, right? Because if you obviously if you like your dream, you like your dream enough, you will push yourself. That's
Hmm.
the thing. Yeah.
So this is an incredibly rich conversation for entrepreneurs and for our audience. I'm very certain already that we're going to get a lot of comments on it. And
I'm
I really
sure.
thank you for sharing your
No.
entrepreneurship journey because that's what our audience really likes to hear. So, can just to close, can you plug Doviana? Where can we find you? The two locations again, and then online, social media, plug. Where can we find you?
Yeah. No, thank you for giving this opportunity. Like I say, we share this opportunity every time somebody give us the opportunity to talk about us, and then yeah. So the website is doviana.us. So, and then you can go there. We do free shipping through worldwide, and then we do free shipping for domestically US only. So yeah, and also that's the website. You can shop anytime, anywhere. Hopefully we can come out the app soon. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, um we have two locations right now. One is in the West Village. It's on Bleecker Street. It's 334 Bleecker. So that's like our first store. Actually, it's a beautiful store, small, but it's like a very cute and very, I mean, if you guys some of this some of you guys probably been there. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. And then also our second store just recently literally opened like a month ago, literally. It's on Soho Spring Street, 174 Spring Street. um Yeah, that's our flagship store. If you get please come stop by. Just look at this beautiful store. Not even, like the if you like jewelry or not, just comes by the store and then take a photo. It's just super nice. And then why in Soho? Why not? Right? You're already there, you shop in it. Yeah, please come.
Yeah, if you're in Soho, you're there to shop. So stop
Yeah,
by the store. I'll
yeah,
definitely be
please.
there the next time I'm in New York. My sister lives there, so I'll be
Oh,
there next time I visit
nice.
her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Awesome.
thank you so much. Again, this is a fantastic conversation, really, really rich. Like I said, I'm on my way back to the website to complete my purchase. I have some jade
Please.
earrings that are sitting in my basket waiting to
Yeah,
get to
no,
me.
the jade earring. That's a cool thing about that. The jade has a special place in all, like, in at least in my culture. It's just represented so many things. I'm sure you ask every Asian person, especially particularly Chinese people, everybody have one jade because that's just a thing. Like if you look at this culturally, right? This is go back to 1,000 years back. Everyone has a jade on them. It's just like like I have like people that have this jade past like generations down. It's a special thing. And then jade represent like this purity, right? If you look at the jade, um like that's kind of like how I see our business too. Like I think that's like Doviana represents too. Like we want to bring something that is simple and pure, and then just like nothing too crazy, very easy to wear, and then above all, it's a very affordable price, right? If you look at our website, especially you
It
own
is,
it,
I confirm.
everything is just like that's the biggest thing. Like our customers, like you guys are because they've done many shoppings before, they compare some other brand, almost the same quality of stuff, they charging more, some of them. Again, I'm not talking bad, I'm not talking, just like that's kind of like one thing we want to solve is how do we bring something is more affordable, right, to the people. And then again, problems, so these problems we listen and then we experience too. That's why we want to solve this. Yeah. So again, problem equal entrepreneur.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's a okay, I might steal that. That's a
Yeah.
perfect way
Please,
to
please. No
to
problems is
close our
like, yeah,
conversation.
because
Problem equals
because
entrepreneur.
yeah, because we I, it's like I'm too lazy to go there, look at this solution. You know what? I'm just doing it myself.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, Chinlin, thank you so much. Everyone else in the
Yeah.
audience, I will see you on B1. Thank you so much.
Thank you.